And today we have special guests from the higher education industry. And it's really unique because we have representatives from both the government university as well as the private sector. With us this morning, we have Professor T.S. Dr. Arham bin Abdullah, who is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research and Innovation. And we have the Vice-Chancellor of SEGi University, Professor Dr. Patrick Kee Peng Kong. Welcome to the program, Prof. Arham and Prof. Kee.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce.
Thank you, Dr. Right, so I'm going to jump straight into the issues today. We are already into the phase 3 of the movement control order due to the COVID pandemic. We have seen the debilitating effects of COVID-19, not only to human health, but to our economy. And there are write-ups, there are talks, and we can feel that traditional higher education industry is also affected because students are not attending classes on campus due to the MCO. So, and this thing was also announced quite suddenly. Everyone was given less than 48 hours, to prepare for the MCO. So take us through the experience, over these 2 days when you had to tell students that the campus is closed. And we saw students were rushing to go home. There were students in the hostel. You didn't know what to do with them. What is actually going on then? Prof. Arham.
Yeah, Dr. Bruce, thank you for inviting me and also to share a little bit more on UMK experience during the MCOs and the effect of higher education industry towards the MCOs and COVID-19. Yeah? So, first of all, after the announcement, so the first announcement saying that, okay, now you can go back home. That was on, I think on 16 or 17 of March. Yeah? And then it will start the MCO on 18. So we have about 9,000 students in campus, in Jeli campus, in Bachok campus, and also at the Pekalan Cepa campus. And based on the first early announcement, the students start getting prepared to go back home, either on their own or they book their bus trip and so on. So it happens based on the first announcement. And then we can see a lot of students going back home, rushing home, back home, and so on, especially on the 17th. And then on that day, there's no restriction that they can go back home. So let's proceed with the what they plan. And up until the 17th night and so on, we received some notification saying that, okay, the students should be stay at home rather than stay at campus rather than going back home, because of it will not meet the purpose of MCO,
social distancing,
and this social distancing and so on. So at the management level, we straight away have our top management meeting and getting further info from the ministries, on the instruction and so on. And we have decided to some kind of lockdown issue and guideline, saying that whoever student is still at the campus, so you need to still stay at the campus. So out of that,
students are still there on campus.
Still there on campus.
4 weeks running. Yeah.
Out of the 9,000, now we have about 1,000 students. Some of the students back in Jeli and also Bachok, so we moved them to one area in Pekalan Cepa, so that it's easier for us to manage them. And some of them is not staying in campus, but around the campus. So
things are under control on your end, I see.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. So we managed to control and manage the 1,000 students, roughly about 1,000 students now, either in campus or around the campus.
Okay, we'll get back to the students in a while. Prof. Kee, do you still have students in your hostels?
Oh, yes.
And yeah, who's looking after their welfare? Because we managed to pick up online. They said students are not allowed to go out. International students, they run out of money, they run out of food. Are there such cases?
We have close to about 500 students are still on campus right after the MCO was announced by the government. Fortunately, the government has provided food subsidy for the students. So these 500 students, they're a mixture of local and international students. At SEGi University, we have close to 50% international students from more than 50 countries, and the rest are all local students. So we have advised the students to stay, to remain on campus, the hostel, but we have campus within the campus, and also a hostel which is not too far away from the campus. So our student affairs department is handling the students very well, including the hostel wardens, to make sure that social distancing is being practiced. So food is being distributed to the students. They get 3 meals. They're very fortunate. They're well fed, very well fed, the students, because the government has provided $15 per day for each student. So students are not complaining. They're pretty happy because classes are still being conducted online for the students.
Okay. Right. So I'm glad that things are stable on the university front. But then I don't think it's going to be that stable on the financial end. I'm not so sure about your respective universities, but I was reading an article in the Asia Sentinel where Professor Jeffrey Williams, the former DVC of UNITA, was quoted as saying that 55% of higher education institutions are now operating at a loss. 44% are technically insolvent. All these require injection of money, either through taking in more debts, loans from banks, or equity injections from shareholders. So this is a little alarming. So, Prof. Patrick, because government institutions are a little bit more safe. Prof. Patrick, you in the private sector, I know SEGi belongs to the publicly listed SEGi International Berhad, which can be seen to be financially solid. But nevertheless, COVID-19 would have a sort of impact from your financial standpoint. You have got postponement of new intakes, and you probably have students that sort of drop out and taking less subjects, deferment of collection from the students. How has that affected you at the university?
Fortunately, our major intake was in February, both for local and international. So most of the students, they came in for the February intake and they started classes just right after the Chinese New Year. So our student enrollment for February was pretty good. And I think starting from March, right after the SPM result was announced and STPM result was announced, we have seen a slight dip in the number, a slight dip. Fortunately, our major intake was in February and it helped to sustain us financially. So far, our financial position is pretty okay. But moving forward in the second half of the year will be very challenging. So we have come up with different strategy to attract students, especially international students. So financially, we are on a pretty solid ground at the present moment.
Right. So when's your next major intake? That will be in July or September?
Our next major intake is normally in September, though we do have an intake in June as well. The June intake is mainly for local students here. Part of our international students will come in September. So hopefully by September, the situation will be calmer for this COVID-19.
Okay, so you have not been severely impacted. What about the scenario in public universities, Prof. Arham? A few years back, we learned that budgets for government universities were slashed, and universities had to, right now, not just depend on the government for the grants, but you have to, and we have worked together on a couple of projects, to raise money for the university. So have you found that this MCO has affected? We've got a program that was slated on the 19th of March, which was postponed indefinitely. How challenging is it going to be now as you are looking to raise money towards the end of the year?
Okay, related to the funding from the government. So we have been working on to increase how to increase the income generation to the universities for the past few years. No, Alhamdulillah, we have gone through the process because it's stated in the higher education blueprint 2015 to 2025 that we need to prepare ourselves also not to rely mainly from the government funding and so on. So we have continuing the activities on income generation, for example, through consultancy, trainings, income generation through rented facilities and so on. No? So, but for the past few years, we still need to use some of our reserve in terms of the operation costs and so on. But it's all in our planning, Alhamdulillah. So based on the new pandemic, COVID-19, for sure it will be more challenging for us, especially we are not only getting funding from our Ministry of Higher Education, but we also try to source out our funding from other ministries, for example, MOF, Ministry of Mosties, and so on. So, but now they are more focused towards attending or try to solve the problem of COVID-19 on other main issues. It also goes to the industry. So we also get some funding from industry in terms of doing our research. But now they are, I'm sure they are more focused on how to sustain the companies rather than give a bulk of money's location for R&Ds. So these are a few challenges that we are facing, but it will not stop us of doing research. We have our current research that have been granted to us, and we should continue and fulfill this obligation and deliver whatever we have asked to do. And Alhamdulillah also, currently there's some new funding available, especially from the NGO. We also open up an endowment fund for us to assist us in terms of this COVID-19 session. Some of the funding we receive from, for example, Yayasan Inovasi Malaysia and also SME Corp in terms of for University for Society kind of projects. This is to, for example, we develop the face shields, the PPE suit, and so on. So we're lacking of funding, but some of the agencies still help us to provide that facilities to us to develop the products.
All right. So take us through, because I saw your Facebook postings, and you have also shared about making PPE garments as well as face shields in the university, and I thought that was a quick pivot on the part of the university, to not only do something, do your part, in fighting this virus, but it's also it makes good business sense. Take us through this thing. How much has it assisted you in terms of the financials?
Okay, we have set aside some of the initial funding from our own budget, at the university budget, since that we have get feedbacks from Persatuan Bulan Sabit Merah Hospital and so on, saying that they don't have enough PPE suit, for example. PPE suit consists of the tudung and also the apron and also the leg cover.
Right.
And based on the request, we figure out how we can help. We have Fakulti Teknologi Kreatif and Warisan that have sewing machine, sewing machine, but we don't have people to do it. So on voluntary basis, about 20 of our lecturers and staff, even though they are not into that sewing things, but they come through and help sewing the things. And our designer at the faculty have designed so that we can save in terms of using the fabrics and so on based on their design and approved by the hospital staff, the doctors.
Well, you have a faculty of design, fashion design, Prof. Arham? Yeah.
Yes, we have that. So we try to utilize whatever expertise that we have to help. That is on the PPE suit. And then on the face shield, we have also from Faculty of Technology Creative ourselves, we have the CNC laser cutting machine.
Wow.
Right.
And also we have the 3D printer at our makers at universities centers. So we utilize that to produce the face shield based on our own design, improved design for the face shield. The current face shield, they use the sponge and so on. So it is one-time use of the face shield. But now we have the frame, and also we can change the screen or the visors quite easily, or desensitize the visors. So the centers and also the faculty have the acrylic and so on. So what they need to do is to design it so it's more efficient to print it out and can produce more, right?
How long did it take for you to get this project off the ground from the inception? Very quickly. Yeah.
Very fast. It took us about 1 day to gather on the team, and then the next day we just run it. So although we need to prepare some paperwork for approvals for initial fund, but the initial fund come from their own.
Oh,
so the lecturers contribute.
So that hastened the process
first while waiting the money to come.
So what was the output of PPE and mask?
Okay, PPE, we have our dashboard actually. We have produced about total scarf, the apron, and also the leg cover, about 10,000 units now.
Right.
So,
and these are headed towards where? Hospitals?
Hospitals, especially the HRPZ2 hospitals and the hospital throughout the Kelantan. So we work also closely with penjara. So the bantuan help us to produce. So they are more productive because they have
quite amazing.
So
amazing story. So you find that in times like that, nobody actually talks about financials. Everyone is willing to come out and do their part and very quickly turn around and make this into a collective effort. I also read you talked about grants and help from SME Corp and so on. What are your views on the My Grants, for post-COVID research?
Okay, I think it's a good move by MOHE in introducing the grant. Actually, at UMK, we have started earlier introducing our internal grant on COVID-19 during the COVID-19 session and also for the impact kind of research. So we have opened up the internal grant for our researchers. That's why we keep in getting new innovation from the lecturers. So these are our initiative, and with the KPT grant, it helps. But my opinion, we should give more fund actually on the fundamental grant and not only the ad hoc kind of grants.
Right.
So fundamental grant need to be continued giving by the government, as we can see at the developed countries. They continue giving fundamental grant because of the long-term strategies.
Can the government still afford to do this?
For the past few years,
giving fundamental grants.
For the past few years, yes. Thank you for the government up the minimum about 400 million ringgit Malaysia's for us to do the research on fundamental research. But compared to other countries, it's much more lower.
Okay, so looks like you have got all your plans in place. Yeah. Prof.
Yes, SEGi University through our subclinical campus in Cebu has also been appointed by MOH to undertake the COVID test, because we have a faculty of medicine in Cebu, Hospital Cebu. So we are one of the many centers that have been selected by the government through the Ministry of Health to undertake this COVID test. And we work very closely with Duke University, which is one of the top-notch universities in the US, to set up the Center for Virology. So they're very much involved in undertaking research in identifying a vaccine to help the COVID patients. So we are at the forefront right now, working side by side with the government through the Ministry of Health to help to slow down.
Very amazing story. Yeah, very amazing stories. You find that universities in Malaysia are not just involved in teaching and learning, but very deep into research and development, as well as especially in times like this. But again, let's move on to running of universities. We know universities are really capital intensive. You've got large campuses. In the case of privately run universities, there is building maintenance, rental, and you have got staff who are very, very highly qualified, and payroll is can take up to 30% over. So one way to pay for this, and this goes to you, Prof. Key, is student numbers. But since it's so capital intensive, you have got a huge component of sunk cost. And to cover this, you need very, very high top line. So there are reports that even a slight drop in just 5% of student numbers will affect your bottom line, since the sunk cost component forms a large part of this equation. Right now, is the university under pressure because you have cleared February, you are facing a June and you're facing a September intake? Do you face pressure in terms of recruitment? What about international students? With COVID, the borders are closed. You cannot expect them to fly in. How can you take us through what is the scenario like at SEGi?
Yes, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, Bruce, I'm sure you're aware, we are very fortunate because in 2014, we managed to secure an online license from the Ministry of Higher Education. So we do have ODL program, Open Distance Learning.
Right.
So we started our ODL program now for almost 6 years. We have close to about 7 or 8 programs. So we have been in touch with our international agents in all the major countries that we source international students, like China, Middle East, South Asia. So we have now advised our students to our agents to enroll online. So they can now enroll our programs online for at least 1 or 2 semesters. So once a student has completed the online program for this 1 or 2 semesters, then if they want to transfer their credits to the university on a face-to-face basis, they can do so. Because the programs and the curriculum, they are seamless, the same year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we are very fortunate that
on this online beam, because I would assume that as an international student, I would rather jump on the plane and get to this new exciting country that I'm going to, as opposed to staying back and do online. How has the take-up been since 2014? And how has the take-up been, as you are trying to convince the students to get online over the past month?
So far, when we started the online program in 2014, we have been mainly targeting local students. So now we see a great opportunity in view of this COVID-19 to start targeting international students. So we have been developing our strategies to target international students in 2019, and we are beginning to see pretty good enrollment coming in 2020.
Right. If I may ask, what percentage of your students are from China? International students.
We have close to 1,000 students from China. Our current student population is about 7,500. So we're talking about close to 15%.
All right. So, okay, the reason why I talked about China, because, we knew that the COVID-19 virus originated from China, particularly Wuhan. And they were already affected by this virus as early as late December and even January this year. So I think your marketing efforts via your agents or your international marketing would have tried to engage these Chinese students who are not traveling down to Malaysia. But of course, they won't be traveling due to the Lunar New Year as well. So how has this take-up been with these Chinese students in particular?
Yeah, Fortunately, the Chinese government recently issued a circular because, as you know, in China, they don't recognize students undertaking online programs. It cannot be endorsed by the government. But because of this COVID-19, even in their own country, they are now allowing their students to study online. Because obviously they cannot go to university. And they are now also expanding this online program to other countries where we have programs already approved and accredited by our local regulatory agencies here. So it was indeed very timely for us to start enrolling students, especially from China, to do online. Yeah, so we are pretty fortunate in that sense. So now we are actively engaging our agents through social media and through all forms of communication to ensure that we can get those students enrolled online at least for 1 or 2 semesters. So by the time this COVID-19 has stabilized, hopefully we will be able to see more students coming through our campus.
So great, you've seen some traction. What about a scenario in UMK? Do you have international students, and can you share?
Yeah, unfortunately, we only have about 100 international students for time being. And this year, actually, we supposed to get another 300, and they're supposed to register in March and also in September. No? So some of the students, especially from China, we need to defer their semesters up until September or October, and then they can only register on that. So based on the COVID-19, I think for sure it will affect our attraction of the international student. But at UMT, we are ready in terms of the online learning and so on. I will explain later.
That's great. So now we come to the crux of this interview in in terms of how COVID-19 has affected student experience now that they can't come into campus for classes. How has that changed the way universities operate, and how is it going to affect these universities over the long term? So how has it changed in the past 1 month? Prof. Arham?
So actually on the online courses and so on, we have started since 2017. And we are among the top public university that embrace e-learning to our homegrown learning management system. And we can see the peak of usage back in 2019. So we have asked our lecturers and also try to prepare our infrastructures in getting the online courses running. And since a few years back, we have managed to won several awards actually with the national policy on Depan 2014. UMK have designed the curriculum to be aligned with online 4IR as a one strong mechanism to facelift the engagement of 4IR among the students. So among the award that we won is a gold award in IUCL. IUCL is the award by International E-Learning Carnival back in 2019, and we have developed about 100 plus MOOC and Erasmus and media literacy project in 2018 that will involve some of our collaborative partners from Thailand, Vietnam, and so on. And we also won the #1 for the Minister Award in MOOC in 2018. I believe we have get ready on the MOOC and also online learning back in 2017, and it's about time for us, and it's a bless also. If you look at it as a positive perspective, now everybody turning into the online as one of their main approach in doing teaching and learning.
Very impressive list of awards and accolades, Prof. Arham, and I'm sure you had a finger in the pie when you came in as a DVC last year to really push this forward. But again, the question is, the COVID-19, it affects every single student on campus. You have got this since 2017, but has all the syllabus, all the curriculum, all the subjects and programs available online right now Because I know in order to do this, it will take certain gradual steps. So are you ready at 100%? Are there pockets of students that are still affected, programs that are still not online where you do not have the full resources? How is that?
Yes, for me, for UMK, for sure, we cannot say that we are 100% ready. So talking about the courses that have experiment, that needs labs and so on. Now we are moving towards what we call MOOE, Massive Online Open Courses for Experiment. China started it using VR and so on. But at this for the time being, we need to develop more, especially that will involve a real practical things that they need to come to the labs and so on. So that is the missing part. For the COVID-19, for sure, inshallah, it will not stay longer and so on. So we have arranged our academics calendars so that during the COVID-19, they will take the portion of the syllabus that have the online version. And when they come back to the campus, they need to fulfill the practical things during that duration. So we have that kind of academics to fulfill that readiness of our online learning. And then in terms of the infrastructure, of course, it will be a challenge, not only during the COVID-19, but after the COVID-19. We need to ask the government to put up extra budget in terms of preparing the infrastructure. Now we are moving to the 5Gs and so on. So we have some difficulties now currently when we want to do it online. Some of our students are not at the urban area, at the rural area. So there's some issues on the line connection and so on. So how are we going to overcome that? We have prepared some of the online material and put it in our pen drive, and we will send it to the students that they can access the materials. That is some of our effort to do that. We also have done some survey to look at how many students cannot get through the online. So this pocket of students will get extra assistance from us so that to make sure that they get the material.
Amazing the level of detail and that you have done in order to reach out to the students. You wanted to say something earlier, Prof. Keith.
Yeah. Fortunately, because currently I sit on the panel of the MQA Council and also MCO Council. MQA has come up with some guidelines on the delivery of higher education program during and post COVID-19 movement control order. So fortunately, MQA is now very flexible because they know the challenges that we are facing now, students are facing. So they have allowed for alternative assessments. They've allowed for deferment of semester for students who have been affected. And as for the online teaching and learning, definitely we are doing online, but our biggest challenge is our health science programs, the medical students, the dentistry students, because the majority of the component are clinical based. So because they are not able to face patients because of the social distancing, so it is not possible for them to undertake this clinical training right now. So we will have to postpone
that it's not just MQA that does this, right? It's actually governed by the professional bodies.
Yes, MMC and the MDC. So so we have no choice but to defer the clinical training post COVID-19, post MCO. So the students are fully aware that it will probably affect their graduation by at least one semester.
So, but nevertheless, those are really, really unique circumstances. So you think the view from MQA, because we have always known MQA to be very, very strict, very, very inflexible, and it's a breath of fresh air, as fresh as the air that's coming out of the window behind you, Prof. Arham. Right? You hear that MQA has relaxed those rules. They're willing to come down and understand that COVID-19 is extraordinary. Nobody has foreseen it, and they're willing to take this extraordinary, this unusual step to even relax the rules. Do you think this relaxation is temporary, or it's going to be part of a new norm that we're going to experience right now?
From my opinion, we look at the MQA circular back in 29 March 2020.
Yep.
This is one of the items is to comply in terms of redesign the exam online into coursework, project-based, open book tests, and online exam. So we try to oblige with all the requirement, and especially all assessment, they said, must comply with the validity, reliability elements stated in area of the circulars.
Yeah.
So I think, from my opinion, the MPA should be more flexible, especially now we are moving towards the online learning and so on. They should allow the universities to give some space to be creative, to make sure that whatever we do, the student will get the best information, the best knowledge through the approach that been introduced by the universities. Not too much policing things and so on, because we are in the 4IR generation. We need to move that. That's my personal opinions.
Right. So you just mentioned 4IR, and we know 4IR is not just a single discipline that we do. It cuts across different sectors and different industries. Do you see, in terms of project and program development, that you're going to put in more 4IR components into your offerings?
Yes, for sure. At UMK, we don't have the IT faculties, no, but we have been related to the 4IR. Yes. Recently, we received a program from MOHE and also MITI as a 4IR Competence Center on Artificial Intelligence and Big Data. So we have the facilities and expertise on that. Alibaba, Lazada, Microsoft, and all other industry partners, where we start using their syllabus in our syllabus. And some of the component also will involve directly in training our student in developing, not only know about the artificial intelligence and big data, but towards forming a companies, because we are entrepreneurship universities, no? So we are trying to mix up between entrepreneurs and also 4IR to become a startup companies and so on.
Right. So these are very industry-driven programs. You know, they are focused on what's live, that's really happening out there. You know, are you able to get these industries to basically straitjacket them into the various COPA documents and so on for MQA? And how is MQA looking, you know, towards accepting this?
For this program,
industry.
Yeah, for this program, we have tabled it out last year to JPT, Higher Education Department, and also MQA. And last January, we got some feedbacks from MQA. But we are also working for this program under MBOT, Malaysia Board of Technologies, not under BEM, because we like to produce more technologies. And we haven't got the final feedbacks from MQA yet. So based on either we can continue or discontinue with the new programs.
Right. Well, in any way, I think MQA really needs to open up and face the realities of the industries out there. Prof. Key, you mentioned that some of these programs, they may be affected, especially exams, you know, exam sitting diets, they might be postponed. And then it might also affect graduation dates and time. And so this will be negatively impacting the students. International students, they can't go back, on time. It has to be graduation dates are deferred. Will this have an impact on graduate employability? Just like to hear from you.
Okay. We are currently working for international students. We are currently working with a few exams agency in different countries to conduct proctor exams. Okay. And proctor exams definitely is recognized because you'll be properly invigilated through online assessment. Although there's a fee that we need to pay. So the delay in graduation, as I see it, will mainly affect our health science students. The non-health science programs will be less affected because we are working very closely to ensure that we can conduct this proctor exam. And now the MQA has made the assessment more flexible. In other words, if the coursework is 70% of the total assessment, they even allow us to use a coursework assessment as a full assessment for that particular course here. So this alternative assessment will make life easier, not just for local students, but also for international students.
Right.
Our main challenge is actually the health science students here.
But what percentage of health science students is that, compared to your almost 8,000 students that you have on campus?
We have about 400 medical students, 250 dental students, optometry, we have about 200, pharmacy, we have about 100. So right. all in all, we have close to 1,000 health science students of a total student population of 7,500 here.
Right, but
it's about 20%. Yeah.
I guess you can't have all. This is an unusual situation, and everyone is affected, and we just need to make the best out of it. Prof. Arham, graduate employability, which is an area that's very close to your heart. How is it affected? Because I would see that when it comes to internships, when it comes to industry attachments, when it comes to graduate placements, it will all be affected due to the MCO. Can you give us an insight?
Yeah. For UMK, Alhamdulillah, we have very good result last year. 90% plus of our graduate employed. No?
Wow,
during the first 6 months. Yeah. Such an improvement, Alhamdulillah, based on some of the initiatives taken by UMK, engaging with our industry partners.
So can you maintain that 90% for 2020?
So we are now working closely also with our partners. The industry start sending us some information on the employment. For example, Maybank recently sending information about personal financial advisor talent search. CIMB also have their own virtual program in terms of interviewing our students. And recently we received from BP. We are hiring final call technology IT's graduate program 2020s. So I believe we need to engage with our industry partner. For sure, there's some job that will not be offered, but they still need to have talents, in their talent pipeline. So this is where we try to work closely with our industry partners. These are a must. And thank you to our industry partners to willing to work with us at our public or private universities to find the best talents. And I believe the term industry academia, we need to work out on that term and how we can work closely together for the benefit of the companies and also for the benefit of our universities. And as a big picture for our nation, as I mentioned earlier, we need to work together to make sure that we win the war during the session.
So are you still going to hit 90%? Or?
We still try to get at least 90% average. If we get less, it's happened throughout the world. It's not only in Malaysia in getting the job from the industries and so on. I'm sure the industry will get affected.
Yeah. Okay, we are coming to the end of the program. Right now, we talked a lot about new normal. online classes, online recruitment using digital marketing, even exams, it's proctored exams. We are talking about even with the industry. So there's a lot of, I would say, relaxation of the old rules. You know, the regulators are easing up the way we conduct exams, the way we provide the curriculum. It's not as straitjacket as people say, you know, traditional institutions. Is this going to be the new normal? And what are your expectations moving forward? Do we come out of COVID-19? So post-COVID-19, do we say, okay, we are stabilized right now, let's go back to our practices in 2019 and before? Or are you comfortable by saying this is the new normal and this is the way it should be, and you know, given what we do? And you have already had investments in huge campuses and all that. How is that going to jive with your investments in the long term? Let me know your views, Prof. Patrick first.
Okay. I think the new normal will definitely be very different to the traditional way of doing things. I think people will be more careful with social distancing issues. So I think moving forward as a university, we will definitely need to strengthen our investment in the online infrastructure. So I think there'll be more investment put in developing curriculum and making sure that we fully use the instruction technology to enhance the online learning. So I think this will be the expectation for the future. I foresee face-to-face teaching will definitely be reduced, and we will have to continuously work with MQA to not be so strict on the COPA requirement. I mean, the 14 weeks, ensuring 42 weeks of face-to-face. I think MQA definitely will be more relaxed moving forward, because we cannot allow post-COVID-19 for this virus to spread. If you don't practice social distancing, this will definitely be a very serious implication for the future. So even for classroom, we will have to design our classroom setting to be very different. In lecture halls, it will be very different, yeah. So people will be more careful now, post-COVID-19.
Thank you. Prof. Arham.
Yeah, the new norm.
When are we going to get past this MCO, and when are things going to return to normalcy, if there is ever going to be a return? But I guess my question would be, when could we stabilize ourselves, and where do you see ourselves going after this period of stabilization?
Yeah, so I don't have the crystal ball, but based on the data from, especially when we look at China, no, they have managed to contain the virus and reduce the numbers of people got infected. And we need to learn and share. They should share a lot of things more with us, and how we can tackle the issues and so on. I believe it will settle down soon. It's not 3 to 6 months, or after 6 months, I think it will be settled. And based on the current development in China. And on the new norm, talking about work from home, yeah, we are used to it. I'm now getting 2 or 3 meetings, online meetings every day with my colleagues. No, we are using a lot of application. Sometimes we using Zoom, Google Meets, even
Microsoft Teams,
a lot of things. So we try everything. No? So this will be the new norm. And at UMK we have start doing the calculation, no? In terms of how much we have saved in terms of traveling and also meetings, arrangement, and so on. I think quite a lot, but we haven't got the figures yet. And as we have tried for about 1 month, it not affected our productivity. As for me, I think it's more.
We are more busy now.
More busy now, answering the apps and so on, and we need to be online. No, even at UMK we have developed our tracking system, and also online punch in, punch out for our non-academic staff. No? So it will help developing a new thing. It creates a new innovation when we have issues or a pandemic like this. No? The survival thinking start kick in so that we be more innovative in doing things. No? And that I always look at the positive things. Of course, there's a lot of negative things happen, but I would like to share on the positive part here at this moment.
I love that word positive. Do you have any positive parting words for us as well, Prof. Key?
I think we have to lift up our heads, and we just got to make sure that we maintain stability, especially among our staff force and our students, and just pray and believe that this COVID-19 will be a great lesson, not only for us, but I think for the whole world. And moving forward, definitely we'll be wiser learning from this experience.
All right, and those are wise parting words from towering personalities in the education industry. You have contributed so much in terms of your intellectual as well as your management capability, and we hope that it all pans well, and given your sharing on your plans, we are confident that you will be able to sustain and ride the wave when our economy rebound. And again, thank you so much for spending your morning with us, and we have learned so much. And for viewers out there, you have it. Give it a hand for Prof. TS Dr. Arham bin Abdullah and Prof. Dr. Patrick Kipengyo from UMK as well as SEGi University. Stay at home, stay productive, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce. Yeah.